everybody. It's your podcast, Sista Lisa. Thanks for tuning in. If you like to discover new music, then you've come to the right place. I have the multi-talented singer, songwriter, musician, and actor, Winter Andrews in the house. And here he is. Winter, thanks for joining me today.
Hello. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. It's nice to have someone like you that has both talents of singing and acting. So I want to talk about both because it's not very often I get to do that.
Totally. Yeah. No, it is. I'm realizing as I get older, it's like, oh, that actually is kind of rare. Like you do have people who like will dabble in one world or the other, but there's very few who are actually like really going after both.
Yeah, and you live in LA, right?
I do live in LA, correct.
So you're in the right spot.
I think so. Yeah. Exactly. It's like part of me is like, oh, I could go to Nashville or I could go to New York, but then I'm missing half of my being, you know?
Yeah. So you grew up in Arizona. You're now in LA. I have to ask you, did you see any movie stars or celebrities? You know, have any run-ins with anyone in LA?
In LA, definitely. In Tucson, never. In LA, let's see, who have I run into? I've seen Brad Pitt.
Oh my
he was
gosh.
so lovely, and he was one of my favorite actors growing up, so that was very cool. I've seen, who is it? It's the guy in How I Met Your Mother, Jason. I saw him randomly like walking around in Santa Barbara one day. I was like driving and like in some random neighborhood. I'm like, that was literally him. Like, we looked it up and it's like, oh, there's like multiple Google things about like whatever his name is, sightings in Santa Barbara. Apparently, he's just like he's like the what's the thing? Sorry, oh my god, we have to edit this. He's like, there's multiple sightings of him in Santa Barbara. He's like Bigfoot.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. So wait a minute. How did you meet Brad Pitt?
I was invited to a screening of this movie called The King. Someone had seen a play I had done, and I guess a musical actually, and produced, and they worked with CAA, and they were a lawyer, but they were like, they get these tickets to these Academy events. So I, being this little nobody with no credits, got to go to this Academy event surrounded by, you know, all the voters, all the powerful figures and whatnot, and Timothy Chalamet was there, and
oh my gosh,
you know, he was starring in this thing. It was phenomenal. All the directors there, because you know it's really their opportunity to try to pitch their movie for awards, right? For critical contention. But anyway, so Brad was one of the producers on that. So afterwards, there's like a reception where again, there's kind of it's the opportunity for those people to schmooze with the Academy voters. And there's little old me who's not an Academy voter, but I see Brad Pitt and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to him. And like I said, he was utterly lovely. You know, I felt like maybe he was actually glad to not be talking to a voter for a moment.
Yeah. And you're so personable, though. You really are.
Thank you. But it was very, very cool. Gracious, warm.
Yeah. Well, that is a great story. And, you know, being in LA, I mean, it seems like LA is in the news constantly. You know, obviously the devastating fires. Were you living there at that time?
It's funny. I was back home in Arizona after the holidays, and I was kind of taking my time heading back out anyway, back to LA. And the day I was going to leave, someone texted me, was like, hey, maybe don't come. There's supposed to be like really bad fires tonight. And I was like, I've lived through fires. I don't live near the mountains. I'll be fine. And then they're like, no, it's going to be like really bad. I'm like, well, you just moved here. You don't know what really bad means. And no, they were completely correct. It was really bad. So I waited a day, and then I waited another day, and then that 2 days turned to 2 weeks. So I managed to avoid the worst of it, but it was very alarming, to say the least. I felt like my house was always safe, but I still didn't want to be there. I still felt very scared for all my friends, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned a moment ago that you were in a play. It was a musical, and I happen to love musicals. I was a season ticket holder for 4 years, and then COVID hit, to the Playhouse Square, where we had actual Broadway performances come to Cleveland. And
Totally.
I love musicals. I love a good tap number. Group tap, the whole thing. Now, do you tap?
That's so funny you say that because I have kind of a recurring joke, and that's so I did go to school for musical theater, but it's not what I'm pursuing. It's not what I pursued for years. It was really just like the one outlet that I had when I was in Arizona, and it was kind of the clearest avenue to pursuing both acting and music. But while in school, I like to say that I realized my true loves were acting and music separately, and that I have no desire to tap dance. So, so to answer your question, I've taken a number of tap classes, and while I respect the hell out of those who do it, not my thing. I'd rather be playing guitar.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you, the voices, though, too, of those in the plays, and I know this is where your voice has been, growing when you were going to school, I'm sure, in theater. Where did you go to
Totally.
school? Where did you go to college?
It's a really phenomenal school for musical theater and for other things too. But musical theater people know this name. They'll be like, I'll say it. They'll be like, "Ooh, it's Elon University." It's funny because I say it in Los Angeles and it means nothing, and I don't expect to say anything. But then whenever I'm around someone from like New York who's actually in that world, they're like, "Oh, Elon." I'm like, "Oh, that's right." There's like kind of a thing around it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is, like I said, I don't live in that world anymore at all, and I'm not trying to be there. I imagine I'll go back to different points, but I do think a lot of the power in my voice comes from that. Certainly above all other styles of singing, that kind of trains the most modern power and celebrates the most, power in singers, I think.
Yeah. What does the significance of being part of the cast in the play Spring Awakening mean to you?
Oh God, that's it's the oh God was not a sarcastic oh God. It was like that was kind of the defining road of my life in a way. This show. I saw it when I was sophomore in high school. My family also had season tickets to see the productions that would come into town in Tucson. And but I was kind of falling out of love with that world anyway at this point, and I was a really angsty kid, and my parents were trying to force me to go see the show, and I just really didn't want to. I was like, I am not going. I was like, get in the car, you are going. I'm like, no. I'm just like staring out the window, all sullen the whole way there, and but anyway, eventually I go see this show. I suffer through it, and by suffer through it, I mean I am just completely enwrapped, and it really was a thing that lit my soul on fire. I feel like I've always loved acting and the arts and music. It's always been something I've done, but it was almost reflexive. It wasn't like a conscious choice necessarily. It was just like, I want to do this, as opposed to when I saw that show, like something lit inside of me that was like, I have to do this. And I like instantly became incredibly disciplined and like passionate in pursuing getting better at it and researching it, and it being like acting schools and like what does it mean to be a professional actor, and that was really because of two things happened here. One was just the show itself is this really beautiful story of angst and rebellion and like and the things that get pushed under the rugs that kids go through. And kids it's adolescence. I mean, it's about like sexuality, it's about repression, it's about religious oppression, like academic or political oppression of children. But all this to say, there was a role in it. The lead role of this is Melchior, and it was the first time I really like saw a character on stage where I'm like, oh, that's me, And at the same time, the actor playing it, I don't know who he was, but I watched him and I was like, I feel like I could be like this person one day. It was like this weird sense I had. There was something like there's something special about this person. This is like some weird guide for me now. I've known who they are. I'll never hear from them again. Anyway, so around the same time in my life, I'm going this long story because it really is such like a pinnacle of my life.
No,
Pillar.
I love this.
Great. So around the same time, there were auditions coming to town to go to this like Broadway camp in New York called Open Jar Studios. And it was through like the community theater I'd been doing. But I decided, I know about this for months, but I was like, I'm not going to audition for this thing. Like, I live in Tucson. I'm not going to be an actor. It's just something I kind of do for fun, These auditions were 2 days after the show. But so the whole time, like, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. Months, months, months. I see the show, and that night, I immediately go home and I learn a song from the show. The next day, I'm like working on it as hard as I can, and then I go audition, I get in, I go to New York, and it's like, oh, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Everyone's like, where'd you come from? How have we not heard of you? I'm like 15 or something, and I'm like, there's no more exciting words you can hear as an actor than like New York professionals telling you you have potential, you're legit. But so that was this kind of defining thing. There's more to the story. I'm going to do it because why not?
Yeah, I want to hear it. Absolutely.
Great. So while at this camp, I found out about the school called Elon, and so I keep that in mind. It's like, okay, this is a great school, and fast forwarding, like I'm auditioning for other schools, and I get in a couple of places that are really good, and then I'm kind of choosing between, and I keep finding videos of one performer at Elon, this actor named Chris Wood, and he just blew me away. It was like the best collegiate performer I'd seen. Incredible actor, incredible singer, and I just resonated with him in some way. But I kept thinking, oh, if I go to this school, I could be like this guy. Anyway, fast forward, I go to the school. For the first year or so, I'm really not happy there, and I think because like I said, I realized eventually I'm really an actor and a musician. Musical theater is not the world I want to live in, but so it's like I kind of felt out of place the whole time. But one night I was like looking at videos, that actor I loved from the school, Chris Wood, and I realized he'd been at Spring Awakening at some point. I'm like, oh, let me see how he handled this. Let me see what he did. And I'm looking at videos, and I eventually find one where I can see the Venla, that's the female lead in it too, and I go, you look incredibly familiar. What's going on? What's happening? And I do digging. I start pouring through the everything I can, like online. I see like when this video was posted, what performance it was, and I go and I check the tour dates. And Chris Wood from Elon is the guy I saw in Spring Awakening on a tour that lit my life on fire. So it was like, okay, I'm in the right place. I may not be doing what I want to be doing, but I'm in the right place. So there's something happening. There's some thread of my life here. So now to kind of wrap this up, but it was still like my dream show, my dream role. It was like the one thing I'm like, if I never do musical theater again, like I have to do this role, And so shortly after college, I got the chance to do it. And I go to Virginia and I do this role. Like I just moved to Los Angeles, and I'm like, I'm not going to go to Virginia and do more theater, but like I have to for this role. And so I go, I do it. It's incredible. And right at the end of it, the director's like, hey, we're actually going to Los Angeles too. Would you maybe want to come be our Melchior in LA? I'm like, well, I live there, and like the chance to go perform it in LA is insane. So I do that. I go. It kind of gets me my first manager. And then it's been this huge through line in my life, because not only did I get my first manager from it, was the show that like inspired me to do everything, but like that's how I met Anna, who's my PR person for this. She was one of the people in Spring Awakening in Virginia. It's how I met another person who would then become my first great agent. She was like a stage manager of that Spring Awakening show. And then she brought me on board to my agency that I'm with now that's phenomenal. It's really changed my life. So it's like, it's a very long story, but in a way it is like the defining story of making me who I am,
I love that story. And thank you so much for sharing that. What a pivotal moment, and destiny knocking at your door, and you opened it and you ran with it.
Yeah, that is what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, like you were mentioning, you went to college, and then right after college too, you found yourself auditioning for television, and you landed a television role at the age of 23, right out of school, and you were in, was it, oh gosh, it was
the first one was Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Which is like the classic actor's first TV role. It's kind of like a running joke. It's like, what have you been in? Oh, Law and Order? Yeah, me too. You know what I mean? But all this to say, when I got the audition for that, I was like, oh, here's my Law and Order audition. Finally, I'm going to go be like the pizza guy or the cashier, the clerk, or like be a dead body, something. But I'm going through the audition, and instead it's like, it's a really incredible role, and it's really exciting. It's really challenging, and it's deep, it's complex, it's nuanced. It's like, it seems like it's kind of pivotal to the story they're telling at this moment too. Like as far as the arc of the season, I'm like, this is actually like fucking awesome. Pardon my language. And long story short, it's like very challenging too. It's like this very disturbed person with kind of a broken mind who ends up being responsible for like hundreds of people dying, like a lot of carnage and violence, which is like not a great thing. But as an actor, you're like, yeah, you know, like so much better than the pizza guy, you know. But so I get cast. I go to New York. It was so cool, and like turns out like I was like the season finale villain for both Organized Crime and
Wow.
SVU. So like I got to meet like the cast of both. You know, I got to go and to be there for like 2 weeks, acting my butt off every day. You know, it was, as far as like a first TV opportunity, it was amazing. Like you can't get better.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
fantastic.
and it was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was also so because it was the season finale. I was the last shot of the season. So normally, if you're like a guest actor in something, that means you're kind of like you're there for one episode, maybe 2 or 3 or something. But you've got a small role that usually gets wrapped up, and then people maybe cheer for you or applaud or something when you get wrapped. But then everyone moves on with their life, and they're on to the next shot and the next thing, and it's kind of like you don't exist anymore. But it was the end of the season, so I was the last shot. So rather than just being like, okay, and now this thing that's very special to me is ended, but to everyone else just another day. Instead, it's like we wrap, and then boom, all the studio lights go on. It's suddenly a party. Balloons are going everywhere. People are like so thrilled. I get invited to like the season wrap party that night. So it was just like you can't get a cooler experience than like having a limo show up at your place, getting flown to New York, being your season finale villain, and it's a season like it was just amazing.
That is awesome. Then you went on to become a lead actor for a movie in, let's see, on Netflix called Mystery of Her.
The Mystery of Her, yeah, it played. It wasn't for Netflix originally, but it's since played like internationally and was like weirdly incredibly popular in like Latin America, especially. But like we were like, because it was so popular in Latin America, we were like the 9th most popular movie in the world for like a week, which is one of those weird small stats, but like still very cool and fun. But yeah, that was, so it was technically the reverse. I did that movie before Law and Order.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my first thing, but like I said, it wasn't for Netflix at the time. Like we didn't know where it was going. It was my first legit project, but it was still like an indie thing. So it didn't kind of feel real in a way, you know, because it's like something doesn't feel real necessarily unless you know where it's going, you know.
Yeah.
But it was still this incredible opportunity, and it was like coming from again, having spent so much time in the theater world before, it was so wild to show up on set for the first time and have there be like this massive crew there. There's like 50 people waiting around just like to get you framed up right and lit right and costumed right. And they're taking care of you between every take. And, you know, production assistants come over and they're like, hey, can I hold your water? Can I hold your jacket or anything? And I'm like, I'm okay. Thank you so much. Like just go do whatever you need to, like go breathe. They're like, no, this is my job. I need to make sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You know, it's like that was something that was interesting coming from that world, the theater world. It's just like there is such a difference in like the theater world. It's like you're rehearsing all day, you're sweating all day, you're doing your own makeup, your own work, like you're changing yourself. People are maybe helping you change really quick, but it is like fast, it is mean, it is efficient. Whereas with TV and film, it's like, okay, between every take, people come and pamper you. They love you. You feel like a child. It's like no matter how adult I feel in life, every time I'm on a set, I still feel like a little boy, like in my chair, you know? It's like, okay, I'll let the adults do their thing and I just sit here, you know? Like,
oh, that's awesome. The reason why I had mentioned that movie as well, I read that your dad was on the movie set and he bet that you wouldn't be able to get a song in that movie. Tell us what happened about that.
yeah, so he wasn't actually on the set, but he knew I had been cast in this movie, and I'd been writing songs for a while. So like I said, acting and music became my thing, but acting was really where I put all my professional energy, and music was this more quiet thing just for me. But I've been writing songs, and I thought they were really good, but I just hadn't like put them out in the world yet, you know? And so my dad, being a good father, said, let's give him like a little nudge to maybe get him to do something with these, you know? So he said, you know, I'll give you $200 if you can get a song that they really like, you know? I was like, I like that bet, you know, like, so I had this one progression that I'd been working on that I really liked, but wasn't quite sure what to do with. And I was like, oh, this might be a good place to try something. And I did. So I wrote a verse and a chorus. And this is like while I'm on, like not on set, but like in my hotel room afterwards, you know, while I'm not shooting. And anyway, I go to set one day and like there's kind of a holding area where all the cast is. We're all just like chilling on some bed and hanging out, shooting the shit, but there's a guitar there, and someone starts playing, and someone else is like, "Oh, you play, right?" And they kind of force it into my hands. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know." And I actually, you know, I kind of wrote something for this, and yeah, and so I played this verse and this chorus for the first time, and they kind of went nuts over it. And one of the producers was in the room, and they were like, "You have to show that to the director right now." You know, I was like, okay. Like, and in my mind, I'm kind of like, all right, I've already won the bet. Someone liked it. You know what I mean? Like that was like, so it's very low stakes to me. But so they take me downstairs and Victor's like, I hear you have a song for me. And I'm like, I guess I do, you know? So I play and I sing this song and he also really likes it, or he says he does, but because I haven't released anything at this point, like nothing is really real or tangible in actually making music or putting out in the world. Like I kind of think that'll be the end of it. Like I'm not like, okay, he's gonna ask me. I don't think he's gonna ask me to do anything with it. You know, he's just like, okay, I like it. I think he's placating me or something. But he's like, can you send me like a voice memo of that? I'm like, yeah, cool. And like right when I get home, he's like, hey, can you send me that voice memo? I'm like, sure, yeah. So I do, and then the next day he's like, hey, so I've been trying it in the movie, like editing at different spots. And like at first it's going to be in this big pivotal scene, but I think it actually plays better as the credits song. Would you be okay if it's there? I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, my dad, like I said, he was a good dad and he got me to kind of put something out in the world for the first time. And I was fortunate and people seemed to respond to it. And so now it's the credit song, and with very little actual like effort or struggle, I kind of had a major movie song, you know?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And your voice is phenomenal. It is so strong, and, you know, it draws you in. And with your debut EP that you are in the process of releasing soon, titled Till the Moon Fades Away, is really going to showcase for those to listen to your range and your storytelling and your songwriting.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
I can see now that I'm meeting you, and I'm captivated with the stories you've just told in the last 15 minutes. I mean, you know, I can't wait to hear the EP. So I want to kick off the podcast with a song snippet of your song that featured on the EP that you're working on Till the Moon Fades Away, called All That Glitters. We're going to listen to it, and when we come back, we're going to talk more music.
Through the winters and through the cold, I'll hold you every night till we grow old. We'll spill our secrets, unzip our souls, fill us up with wonder, make us whole. But all our cards are on the table now, it's time to go. All our hearts are in the open now, and the breeze that blows. From Mariupol by the sea, all alone with lonely me, I know we'll make it home. As long as you're here next to me, we'll go through the fields and the trees, won't turn around till we're free. I know we'll make it home, as long as you're here next to me. So be brave at sea.
Winter, what a great song. And again, the storytelling, it just is captivating. What is the story behind All That Glitters? And just tell us about it.
Totally. First off, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So, for better or worse, I'm kind of obsessed with knowing what's going on in the world at any given time. Like I've kind of read the news religiously since I was a kid. Like I need to understand like what's happening elsewhere. I don't know why, but there's some, I guess, empathy or something. It's just like I need to know what humans are experiencing. So, like I said, that's for better or for worse. But so one thing that kind of I got fixated on was Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And so I was reading like leading up to the invasion, like every day I was like seeing reports of like things impending basically, and it like looking like it's going to happen. And you know, it was terrifying for me because I guess even though I've never lived through it, it's like I've spent a lot of time looking at what that actually looks like, and it's just this horrifying thing. That being war, you know. And I'd had this song that I'd already kind of started, where the verse always felt like it was about a couple escaping from a war, you know. And I think, again, that's not my story, but I guess it's the actor in me, it's the empath in me, it's the storyteller in me. It's like I feel like I step into these roles and I become part of some story or something, and I write from those perspectives, right? But so the invasion actually happened, and I was reading about it every day, and I was having these like really vivid dreams about it, you know, and it was just this horrible, awful, tragic thing, as we know. But anyway, so one day I woke up after like having these dreams, and again, like I said, I'd had this verse in this chorus, this verse that was unrelated. I didn't have a chorus for it, and I picked up my guitar and I just started playing and singing, and that chorus came out, and it was about like it literally just like it fell out of my mouth, the entire thing in one take. It's magic, you know what I mean? That's songwriting. It's like it's like you feel like you pull things from the ether and they just happen. And so that happened. It became this song about a couple escaping from the city of Mariupol, which was basically destroyed in the early days of the invasion. It was horrible, but yeah. So that's effectively the story. It's a story of a couple escaping from Mariupol, and I don't approach it from the perspective of like, oh, let me like make a political statement, or let me like make this a think piece, or let me like try to get attention. But it's just a sincere expression of humanity, you know, what those people are going through. So that's what the story's capturing. And so it's there's a sadness in it, there's a danger, and also there's kind of I guess almost a heroic quality, you know, an anthemic quality of like of pride, of hope, of you know, the perseverance it takes to actually get out. So that's kind of the story of it. I know it's very much in contrast with how I just presented myself as this like really like happy-go-lucky. She just said off the air that I should be a comedian. It's like here I am talking about, you know, war and devastation. But anyway, that's the story, and it kind of a thread in my music too is that like even though I present myself in life as this, you know, bubbly, gregarious person, whatever, which I think is that part is true, that part is real. It's like inside, it's like I'm a very sensitive, empathetic person with big emotions, and these songs reflect that, including this one, you know.
Well, Winter, don't ever change. You are just so special in all your talents, and I can't wait to see where you're going because it's going to be great. And this EP for you is a big stepping stone. And I want all the listeners to go to Spotify and listen to this song again, All That Glitters, and download it, add it to your collection. And also, before your EP is released, you just released another song of yours called The Lovers. And what a beautiful song. And your voice, along with the strings, the vibe, and it just carries you away like a dream, and you get captivated. And I want to play this as my song snippet number 2.
Great.
And when we come back, let's talk about this song. And here we go. The Lovers by Winter Andrews.
But if I could steal the breeze from our sides, I would shade the sun with leaves, so you need never shield your eyes. And if I could hush the clock that keeps out time, I would never let it speak. I'd love you all my life.
Again, what a great song. And you're on all streaming platforms. And I, again, want my listeners to check this whole entire song out. Tell us the story behind this song.
Yeah, so this song came about when I was, I want to say 22 or 23. I was kind of in the middle of a pretty unfulfilling relationship. And I was in a hotel room one night and I just started playing and this pattern came out and I started writing. Like I said, with all the glitters, I kind of go to other places when I write songs. It's like I feel like I enter another world and I hope to capture that in how I actually execute it. But I felt like I was going to this other world. It was this kind of fantasy, like almost like a medieval folk fairy tale, something about this like dreamy relationship. It's kind of the story of like a relationship over the course of a lifetime to me. And I think in retrospect, it's like it was me wishing for something really pure and deep and beautiful because I think the thing I was in was not. But so the song itself, like I said, is kind of a waking dream. It's somewhere between like a young man's fantasy and like an old man's memory. Is how I always picture.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks.
Oh gosh. Now when is the EP gonna be released? Winter.
Fully?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything will come out in November, basically. I'll be releasing each song as a single until then. So I believe the final date is November 19th, I want to say, when the last song comes out, and then the official like full EP release is a couple days later. Yeah, I'm very excited about it all.
I am too, and I want to have you back on the show to talk about that EP release as well as other things that you're doing. I know you're on doing some acting. You're on a Hulu
Correct.
show called The Murdoch Murders,
Mm-hmm.
and your acting is just as exciting as your music. Where can people follow you on social media?
Thank you so much. I am on Instagram at It's Winter Andrews, and the same is true for TikTok. I haven't posted there much, but I'm about to. Once I finish the production, like these last two songs I'm doing, then it's like I'll be spending all my time that I was spending like mixing over in the TikTok world, with this lovely bookcase behind me playing songs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be watching you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you. As I say at the end of all my podcasts, that's a wrap.